Do you ever feel like your brain is just constantly switched on,
Yeah.
like wired for that next notification, that quick bit of information, or maybe just that immediate feeling of reward?
Hmm.
And you find yourself, I don't know, battling to focus on anything that requires real sustained effort, feeling maybe a bit mentally exhausted by all the noise? Well, if that struggle sounds familiar, then you are definitely in the right place today. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a concept that's designed to help you sort of wrestle back control, the dopamine detox.
Hmm.
Our guide for this exploration is Thibaut Meurice's book. It's quite short, but impactful. Dopamine Detox, a short guide to remove distractions and get your brain to do hard things.
Yeah, it's a really concise one.
It is, yeah. About 55 pages, falls
Yeah.
into that self-help productivity psychology space. So our mission today is to really pull out the core ideas, the practical steps, and, understand the potential upsides and maybe downsides of this approach. The goal is for you, listening, to walk away with a really clear picture of what a dopamine detox actually is and figure out if it might be a useful tool for your focus and well-being.
It's amazing how relevant this whole idea feels right now, isn't it?
Totally.
The basic premise the book lays out is that, well, our modern world just bombards us with stimulation nonstop. I mean, just think about your phone, streaming shows, social media, even like super processed foods.
Right, everywhere.
And the book argues this constant high level of stimulation actually starts to rewire our brains,
Yeah.
making it tougher and tougher to settle into tasks that need, long-term focus and effort. So the detox is framed as this deliberate actionable method to reset that internal reward system, to
Yeah.
basically reclaim some cognitive control.
Okay, so we're talking about this constant pull, this feeling like our brains are almost hijacked. And the book gets right into the mechanism behind it, this thing called dopamine. But it immediately sort of flips how we usually think about it. We tend to associate dopamine with pleasure itself, right? But Maurice makes a really important distinction early on. What's that key difference? And why does it matter so much for, breaking these cycles?
Exactly, and this is really crucial. We often mistakenly think dopamine is the pleasure chemical,
Hmm.
but the book clarifies it's actually more about the anticipation of a reward and the motivation, the drive to go get it.
Ah, the anticipation. Okay.
Yeah, think about it. The real, buzz isn't always getting the notification. It's that moment before you check it, that urge or that strong craving you feel just thinking about some junk food you like.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that shift, that dopamine is mainly driving the seeking part, it totally reframes how we see our modern habits and what feels like this addiction to instant gratification.
That makes sense. It's like waiting for a package to arrive. Sometimes the anticipation is almost more intense than opening the box, isn't it?
Precisely.
So, if our brains are constantly chasing these little hits of anticipated reward, doesn't some of that instant gratification actually work as a motivator sometimes? Or even feel, I don't know, necessary in our fast world? Does the book talk about that balance, or is it calling for like a total shutdown?
That's a really good point, and it gets to the core of it. While, yes, small controlled dopamine hits can motivate us, the book's argument is that in today's world, we're just overloaded. We're getting these really intense dopamine spikes constantly from social media, endless video streams, gaming, certain foods, you name it.
So relentless.
It is. And this constant barrage trains your brain to always look for the easiest path to the next reward,
Hmm.
which in turn makes tasks requiring long-term effort feel disproportionately hard. So the idea isn't to eliminate dopamine, you can't and wouldn't want to, but to reset your sensitivity to it,
Hmm.
to get back in the driver's seat and prioritize activities that have more, let's say, lasting value.
Okay, that clarifies the mechanism quite a bit. Sounds like a powerful cycle and one that's maybe tough to break. So, for anyone listening now and thinking, all right, I see it, I feel it, I need that reset, where does the book suggest starting? What's like the very first practical step Miris recommends?
The first step the book outlines is pretty concrete. Create what it calls a can't-do list.
A can't do list. Okay.
Yeah. This is where you intentionally identify those specific high dopamine activities that you're going to temporarily cut out. We're talking about the usual suspects, right?
Yeah.
Mindless social media scrolling, binge watching shows or YouTube, habitual junk food, gaming, even just random aimless internet browsing. Stuff like that.
Okay. The things you default to.
Exactly. The idea is to explicitly define what you are not allowed to do during your detox period. It makes the boundaries really clear and undeniable.
Defining those boundaries up front seems smart. Takes the guesswork out. So once you've got your can't do list sorted, how long does the book suggest you actually stick to this detox? And what do you do during that time? You've removed all the distractions, so what fills that space?
The book is actually quite flexible about the duration.
Yeah.
It suggests it could be anywhere from just a few hours, maybe a full 24-hour day, or even longer. It really depends on your personal goals and how, deeply rooted those habits feel.
Okay.
During the detox itself, the main principle is to actively avoid all the usual distractions. And this might even mean avoiding things that seem harmless, like maybe chatting with people, listening to music, or reading fiction, if those are things you typically use as a quick escape or stimulus. The key is to engage in really simple, low-stimulus activities.
Like what, for example?
Well, things like journaling your thoughts, maybe some mindful meditation, taking a quiet walk without headphones, or even, and this is the hard one for many, just sitting in silence and noticing your thoughts.
Wow, just sitting in silence. Yeah, that probably feels like the biggest challenge for a lot of people right there.
It really does.
It kind of highlights how conditioned we are to constant input, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The main goal is just to let your brain kind of return to a more neutral baseline state, to shake off that dependence on constant external fixes.
Okay, so you manage to do the detox, you sit in silence, you get through it.
hmm
What's the plan for after? How does the book suggest you avoid just, snapping right back into the old patterns? Because that feels like the real danger, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The post-detox phase is critical. That's where the lasting change happens, or it doesn't. Once you've had that reset experience, the idea is to reintroduce activities, but very slowly,
Yeah.
mindfully, and with totally new boundaries and intentions.
Slowly and mindfully, okay.
Yeah. Maurice really emphasizes prioritizing what he calls high-value habits first. These are the things that genuinely move you towards your long-term goals. Things like focused work, dedicated learning, maybe planning or goal setting, meditation, reading nonfiction perhaps.
The stuff that requires effort but pays off.
Exactly. And, crucially, you have to be proactive about limiting access to the old temptations.
Mm.
That means things like actually uninstalling the apps that cause problems, maybe using website blockers, definitely turning off most notifications. It's all about consciously designing a less distracting environment for yourself.
Building that intentional environment makes
Yeah.
sense. So if we zoom out a bit, look at the bigger picture, what does Muri suggest are the sort of long-term payoffs for integrating this kind of practice into your life? Is it just a temporary fix, or can it really lead to a more, I don't know, fulfilling way of operating?
Well, looking at that wider context, the long-term promise is pretty significant.
Hmm.
It's framed as leading to a real increase in self-discipline, in motivation, and just a general profound improvement in mental clarity.
Better focus, less brain fog.
Yeah. By consciously managing your dopamine responses, you're meant to become more productive, obviously, but also, and this might be surprising, you can actually start to find more enjoyment in simple, low-stimulus things again,
Huh. Like what?
like just reading a physical book without fidgeting, or having a quiet conversation without checking your phone, or going for a walk and actually noticing things around you.
Finding joy in the simple stuff again.
Exactly. And this ultimately builds a higher tolerance for boredom, which the book argues is actually a critical skill. It's what allows you to consistently tackle the hard things, the important stuff, and achieve those meaningful goals.
And that really seems to be the core takeaway, doesn't it? That dopamine, yeah, it's vital for motivation for drive, but our modern world can kind of hijack it, leading us down this path of just craving instant fixes. So the detox, as Maurice describes it, it's about consciously hitting reset on that reward system. It's about building better habits, healthier ones, and ultimately, yeah, improving our tolerance for boredom so we can actually engage with and tackle the important, often difficult things that truly move the needle for us.
It connects everything back to that idea of long-term discipline, mental clarity, and really gaining the ability to tackle those hard things.
Yeah.
This detox, while it sounds simple, it can be a really powerful sort of starter guide for getting a handle on all this digital overstimulation we're facing.
So a final thought for everyone listening, something to maybe mull over after this deep dive. If getting a better handle on our dopamine levels can genuinely make simple things more enjoyable and make those difficult tasks feel more achievable, think about this. What's one boring but important task you've been putting off?
Mm,
Something you know you need to do, but keep avoiding. Could you finally tackle it by consciously stepping away from that instant gratification loop, even just for a few hours?
It also makes you consider that maybe true freedom isn't about having endless choices and constant stimulation. Maybe it lies more in the discipline to choose what genuinely serves your long-term well-being, even when it means saying no to that immediate, easy pleasure.